this is a flat ground progression. One was a leg lift, one was a catcher throwdown. I just want you to notice the difference. So right off the bat, obviously the hand path is different, okay? So as he does this catcher variation, he actually gets into like a very similar arm action as a catcher would do, because the goal is to get rid of as quick as possible while naturally increasing power output. So you're going to see a few things. Okay, so the hand path is, in my opinion, optimized. Okay, so separation into retraction, and he does a little bit better job with that drive leg, again, in my opinion, based on the required stability. So all we're going to be really focusing on in this particular screening is how he maximizes the release of his rotational energy and what this does from a timing aspect, or I guess that's vice versa, the timing aspect and what that does for the visual. So like I said, different hand path. We got him synced up at ball release, so I'm assuming the front foot connection to the ground, right, that anchor point is going to be the same. So right when we're, I believe that's front foot strike. Okay, so this is the move. This is where it happens. So he does a good job of hip rotation. We can see that based on the foot. Okay, we see the whole bottom of his foot. So that showcases his hip rotation is basically exactly where it needs to be. Now, you obviously already see the difference. Hand placement, and the direction of his trunk. Okay, so catcher, whoa, that's frustrating. So the catcher variation, more upright, okay? Whereas the leg lift, it's pulling. Pulling, to me, is the early release of that rotational energy that he's built up from the back, right? So right here, when he separates his hand, he's building rotational energy when the hips start to go, right? So that's that stretch, hip-shoulder separation. He's building that up. He's creating that. Now, not only is it about releasing that rotational energy on time, but also releasing it in the direction of the desired target, right? Linear. So you're going to see in the leg lift, his timing is just off a little bit. So therefore, so the timing of his hand. Okay, so again, we see in this leg lift at front foot strike, the timing of his hand, and that's actually relatively good timing, right? But this is the difference in this velocity enhancing move and similarities is. So his hand is early, so therefore in his leg lift throw, his trunk is beginning its rotation and it's starting to that pull, right? So you're releasing a little bit of that rotational energy early and off direction, right? So now we look at the catcher throw, right, where he's increased his acceleration, his momentum forward. So the hand naturally kind of did this delay mechanism. That's the whole thing, right, is you got to find the right progression for the right athlete and how they respond to it, because he did really well when we gave him input of a shuffle here, and that got his body accelerating forward. So it's not necessarily like him thinking to delay the hand. I think it's for him, it was more about increasing his body's acceleration. So in the leg lift, his body's not accelerating as much as it is in the catcher throwdown. So again, that naturally kind of, quote unquote, I guess, delays that hand, delays that trunk, right? So now, talking about this move, now we have a better timing of releasing that rotational energy, because as you saw in the beginning, the throws are relatively the same, right? The posture at ball release is relatively the same. That's motion memory. But how he got there is drastically different, right? So that variation was really good for him because not only did he release it, and it is the rotational energy, or torque, if you will, not only did he release that on time, in session, in conjunction, I guess, with full arm swing, but the direction of it too, forward. Whereas this was, again, slightly pulled. So I know it can get confusing, and I know it's tough for me explaining it because I don't like breaking things down that are really, really hard to control through time and space. But if we can implement, first, so first we find the right progression, right? So the progression or variation, for this case, it was the catch or throw, right? Find that, hammer those reps, instill those motor patterns, motion memory, doesn't take one day, right? And then make it motion memory, make it natural. That's the goal, man. So for him, it's, hey, what progressions provide that window of mechanical efficiency and effortless freaking velocity fuzz? Hammer those. All right, let's go. So we found right off the bat that it's funny how this works too, right? Simplified hand path, okay, actually allowed for him to increase his body's acceleration without his brain signaling to his body, whoa, slow down, right? So the simplified hand path allowed for his body to accelerate faster. And again, this move, right, like that difference right there, if you don't know already, is literally milliseconds. But it could be all the difference in the world. This particular client is known for having a very, very fast pull down throw. Oops. Say 95, whereas leg lift 86, maybe 88 on flat. So again, very, very minimal difference in timing, but a huge difference in power output, because you're having two factors: the timing of the release of that rotational energy and the direction of which that rotational energy is going, right? So I'd encourage you to take a look at the video I did on the actual explanation of the velocity enhancing move, because that explains a pretty good analogy of like a band. I think that would provide some good visual. So again, find the right progression that provides that window, and then hammer those and see what happens. Because again, this is flat ground, so on the mound it's going to be different because your front foot has more space to cover, right, when you're on a slope. So hopefully that made sense. Check out those videos that I mentioned. Just sign this off. All right. God bless.